Hey, if you're not the type of person to take correction or criticism well, then you've come to the right video. Hello, Overcomer. I'm so glad you made your way to this video. My name is Andrew Freed, and I want to be a source of encouragement, enlightenment, and empowerment for you to have a healthier, happier life while drawing closer to God. Now, in this video, I want to talk about how to receive feedback, correction, and criticism. Now, I know everyone today is a critic, especially those on social media because they can hide behind that e-courage. The anonymity of social media makes everybody bold enough to say whatever's on their mind. But I'm not talking about them, I'm talking about you and how you receive it. No one likes to hear the bad stuff. No one likes to hear what you did wrong. But in order to grow, in order to become the person that you want to become, you're going to need that feedback, correction, and yes, even criticism can provide you with the vitamins you need to grow and become better. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start out talking about what is feedback, correction, and criticism. And then we're going to talk about some steps that you can do to begin to receive it and so that you can grow like a champion. So, feedback. Feedback is nothing more than information. It's a picture of a point in time of how either you perform or how you look or whatever the case, whatever the subject matter is. It's a picture. Now you frame that picture however you want. For example, if your goal is to lose 100 pounds and you step on the scale and the scale said you gained 10 pounds, that's just feedback. That's all that is. Now you frame it how you want. You can frame it in a negative. Oh, I'm gaining weight instead of losing weight. Or you can frame it in a positive. Well, I only gained 10 pounds because last week I gained 11. Well, however you do it, feedback just gives you information. And it's a part of constructive criticism that we're going to talk about here in a moment. Next is correction. Now, correction by nature is designed to look at what is wrong. It looks at what's wrong and what's undesirable and gives you the steps to fix that. That's a huge part of the constructive criticism because it gives you the pathway to become closer to what you're desiring to be. And then finally, you have criticism. Now, you can look up criticism. You're going to find 12 different definitions of criticism. For the purposes of this video, we're going to talk about mainly two, because constructive criticism and deconstructive, or what they call projective criticism. Now, constructive criticism, unlike positive criticism just talks about all the things that's positive. But constructive criticism, it analyzes everything that's right, it analyzes what's wrong, and then it gives you the reason why it's wrong, and it gives you, by providing you feedback, and then it gives you a corrective plan so that you can become or improve whatever that process or that subject is. Now, deconstructive criticism is something totally different. Deconstructive criticism is designed to stop you. Usually it's emotional, the words are hateful or at least negative, and the analysis is usually very shallow, and the correction is usually very general or vague. Deconstructive criticism, another word for it, is projected criticism. Deconstructive criticism says more about the criticizer than it does the actual subject at hand. That type of criticism should be avoided at all costs. Even still, you still need the criticism in order to grow and become better. Now, how you receive this criticism speaks volumes about your character and how bad you want to obtain the goal or desire that you have out before you. And the Bible says much about wisdom and correction or criticism. In fact, Proverbs 13:18, it says, if you ignore criticism, you end up in poverty. And if you accept correction, you will be honored. Proverbs 15:5 says, only a fool despises a parent's discipline, but whoever receives correction, whoever learns from correction is wise. Now, for most of my adult life, I've been either a supervisor, a manager, or some type of leader. And it still amazes me how some people refuse to take any type of correction or any type of feedback. Again, nobody likes to see the ugly in them, But that's the only way you're going to grow. I remember I used to be an instructor in the Air Force NCO Academy. And we used to play this team building exercise called Minefield. So here's how the game went. So basically you had an alleyway that was about 20 feet long, and we put about 15, 20 bowling pins in there. We would blindfold one of the team members, and then the other team members would direct him through the minefield by using only their words. Now, as the person was going through, you hear people screaming, "No, take 2 steps left, or 2 steps right, or take 1 step back." And it's crazy, but if they did it correctly, they would walk them through the minefield. So at the end of the exercise, we would review it, and people would say, "Well, yeah, this one's words were more clear, and this one's words were not." Or when they were yelling, I didn't hear them until they started yelling. Or some people said when they started yelling, it shut me down. So then I would ask, how did you feel about receiving the directions and sometimes the correction from your teammate? And they said, well, if they didn't do that, I would never make it through the minefield. You know, your life journey is like a minefield. There are a lot of pitfalls. There are a lot of barriers. There are a lot of different things that you're going to run into that hinders you from obtaining your goal and ultimately being successful. If you can't receive the feedback from the people who've already been there or who earnestly have your best interest in heart, then you will always fall into different pitfalls and barriers unnecessarily. Now, the issue with receiving correction and criticism is how it's presented. Proverbs 15:31 says, "The ears to hear the rebukes of life will live among the wise." So no matter how criticism is given, you must be allowed to extract the information you need without allowing your emotions to come and hinder you. The bottom line is, no matter how it's packaged, no matter how much truth or deceit is laced with, if you can extract the truth from criticism and not an emotional experience, wisdom will flow. So I want to give you 5 tips on how you can receive criticism so that you can grow like the champion you are. Number 1, consider the source. Don't waste your time with people that you know mean you no good. Typically, their feedback is going to be deconstructive. They're your haters. They're going to say things to try to stop you and hinder you, or if nothing else, to take the energy away from you. You only have so much energy. It's not even about time. It's more about the energy you bring to that time. And you don't have enough time to waste listening to people who's just going to pull out the ugly and this just so they can stop you. Number 2, don't take it personal. A judgment on your performance is not a judgment on you. A sign of maturity is being able to separate the two so that you can receive feedback without having an emotional experience or having your self-esteem racked. I know a lot of creative people that have issues with this because you talk about their creation, whether it be art or music or whatever the form may be, they feel like you're talking about them because they produce this. When you mature to the point that you can separate the two, then you're able to find criticism that will improve you and cause you to grow in the way that you want to be. Remember, in life, we don't get more until we become more. Number 3, extract understanding from the information. One of the biggest tragedies of any success or failure is not understanding why. So when people take the time to criticize you and give you constructive criticism, you want to make sure you understand why what you're doing isn't right or isn't most desirable, and more importantly, why would the correction fix it? Number 4, relax. If you're the type of person who does not take criticism well and you have a physical reaction to it, then you want to get your body to relax so that you can receive. You may have to do breathing exercises. You may have to tell yourself positive affirmations, whatever you need to do, but you want to calm down so that the information that you get, you can receive. And if nothing else, record it so you can go back and listen to it later or read it later and get the most out of it. Number 5, take notes. Nothing would irritate me more when I have someone who I'm training or I have someone who I'm mentoring and I give them take the time to give them this valuable information and this constructive criticism and they're not taking notes on it. And they come back to me later like, well, what was that you said? Take notes. When you write this stuff down, actually you learn faster because using more faculties in the learning process. I always tell my students or anybody who's learning from me, the combination for retention is 10, 24/7. Review your notes 10 minutes after you've got them. Review them again 24 hours after you got them, and review them again 7 days later. And that way you'll retain over 70% of the notes that you have. Look, I hope this video has been a blessing to you. If you're going to become a champion, I think the saying goes, feedback is the breakfast of champions. You got to seek out people who are going to criticize you, give you constructive criticism, and help you grow. There's no way around it. It cuts the learning curve. I mean, because you can do things on your own, but you're just learning, going through all these pitfalls. But getting people to give you constructive criticism shortens the learning curve and also helps you get to success much quicker. I know the mentors that have been in my life have helped me in areas from everything from finances to my marriage. I'm married 31 years, even raising my children. You want to have the feedback. You want to have somebody in your life that can tell you, hey, that's right, or hey, that's wrong, without you falling apart emotionally. Hey, if this video has been a blessing to you, why don't you go ahead and hit the subscribe button so when the next video comes out, you'll get notification. And if this video has been valuable to you, please share it with someone else so they can gain value as well. I'm Andrew Free, and remember, you are an overcomer in Christ, so be the example.